So we go back to that main where we were modifying values. Here, did I introduce a concept where we can make variables read-only? Again, did I introduce a concept where we can create a variable that's read-only, meaning its value cannot be modified or changed? Well, believe it or not, the answer to that question is yes, I did introduce that concept. That was a concept of a const, C-O-N-S-T variable. If we create a const variable, we cannot modify values in that variable. So we can create a const variable. Can we create a list that's read-only? And the answer is yes, we can create a list that's read-only. So is that the solution, or part of the solution to our problem? And the answer is like, oh yeah. So let me explain here. So if we go here and we make this constant, we're like, hey, let me make it constant, right? Meaning, so can we create a const variable, right? So now like we're like, oh, so like if we have a const variable, we can create a const reference, meaning now this guy's protected. We cannot change the value of num1. Notice a red underscore. Expression must be modifiable, meaning it can't be read-only. Num1 underscore ref equals 20. Notice, expression must be modifiable value. So that's the key right here. We can have the payroll checks, right? So I'm not going to save this code because it won't compile. But I just wanted to show that piece. Meaning it won't compile, it won't run, because C++ doesn't let us do that. So if we come back to this diagram, we can have a list of const, a const list or read-only list of payroll checks, and we can pass it in as a function parameter. So now to the code, how do we do that? So we go here, and let me commit this. Function reference variable, commit. And then we go header. This will be the last example. And then you have a short assignment. So we have void const reference param. I'll just use an int, but the same concept applies. If we, assuming that was the list, and then we go in here, and it won't let us type that comment, that statement. Let me see, sorry, I forgot the keyword const, right? So it will let me type that statement unless I have const, right? So I have const there. My CPP has to match. So this also has to be const. And once it matches, then notice right away, like if I'm a developer and we were using const, it's like, oh, I can't change the list, right? So we can protect variable data by using const, which means read only. So we can only read its value, we cannot change its value. And we went through all this hoopla for what? Well, if we have a big list, we do not want to be copying around. We want to reference it by its address, but then in read-only mode. So then we are still protecting the integrity of our data. In this case, the data were like some payroll checks or any other sensitive data. So what do we cover today? We're taking a deep dive into functions, and we covered two types of parameters: value, which deal with scope, meaning if you create a variable in one function scope, it cannot be modified in a different function scope. Copies of the value is sent to the different function. But a reference parameter can get us into trouble if we don't know the rules. You can create a variable in a function scope and modify its value in a different function scope with reference parameters. If you're dealing with sensitive data, then you pass it in as const reference so that it's read-only, okay? So value, reference, protect data with const or read-only, okay? If I'm repeating myself, it's because these two concepts are important, and these three concepts are important, and we need them for the rest of the semester, okay? So, questions here. Okay, so you have an assignment that is 10% off. Make sure you understand it, because you'll get the same assignment more or less on Thursday. So you have to draw a diagram. I'll stop.